Ever find yourself looking at an old photo, like one you really love, and think, hold on, did things really look like that? Like, were the colors really so bright? Was it actually that perfect of a moment? It's crazy how much memories can mess with you. And it gets even wilder now with all this AI photo editing stuff exploding.
Hmm. Yeah, I get that.
So we're going to deep dive into two articles today. One's this super interesting personal experiment with, well, AI photo editing and family photos, and the other's more about the bigger picture, how this tech is changing how we see images, period. Ready to unpack all this? Let's do it. First thing that blew me away, honestly, was how powerful these new AI tools are. This isn't just your grandma's cropping or slapping a filter on something. We're talking Google's magic editor here, the one that can like add or delete whole things from a picture, change the weather up, you name it.
It's pretty wild.
One article even said it was like, quote, turning a gray day into sun-drenched. Pretty tempting, huh?
I can see the appeal, for sure. Makes you think about how we've always played with photos, right? I mean, airbrushing in magazines, it's been around forever, creating this ideal version of things.
Right.
But AI, this is different. It's like,
Level.
exactly. Now it's like anyone can design how they want to remember something right from their phone. Imagine that random tourist ruining your vacation photo. Gone. Or instantly making a cloudy sky bright.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of control we're talking now.
It's almost like AI is letting us do for real what our brains already do with memories, just. Now we can do it to the actual picture.
Oh, totally.
The writer of that personal experiment article, they were saying how they had this pic of their kid, loved the photo except for this beat up old couch in the background. And they were saying like their brain had basically filtered the couch out in real life, but in the picture, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Oh, tell me about it. I've got tons of photos like that.
But that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, right? It makes you wonder, are we just getting rid of distractions to get to like the real memory? Or are we making a totally fake reality? Once photos are this easy to change, can you even trust what you're seeing anymore? Even your on old photos.
Whoa, yeah, it's like that seeing is believing thing is out the window.
Right.
And the writer, even they were wrestling with this. They were cool with removing like a diaper bag strap from one photo, but then they were editing out a whole public bathroom from a playground pic and thought, hold on, like where's the line between a touch-up and rewriting reality?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's a slippery slope.
Totally. Speaking of slippery slopes, one thing the writer brought up, and this was interesting to me, was how even with AI, you can't polish a turd, so to speak.
Laugh softly.
They were saying how, yeah, you can use AI to clean things up, but you still need the fundamentals, lighting, composition, all that photography stuff.
Absolutely.
It's like AI can make a good photo great, but it can't turn a bad photo good.
100%. It's all about having that good foundation to work with.
Right. It's not going to magically make your blurry, out-of-focus snapshot into a masterpiece.
Exactly. And that's something that's really important for people to keep in mind, especially now that everyone's got these powerful cameras in their pockets. It's still important to pay attention to the basics of photography if you want to capture a moment effectively.
Totally. Like, I'm thinking of, remember that photo we were talking about, the one of my kid at the beach with the, well, let's just say it was a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no amount of AI could fix that one.
Yeah.
Some things are better left to the memory, maybe?
Laugh softly. Probably for the best in that case.
But in all seriousness, it does make you think about the role of these tools, right? Are they for fixing things, or are they more about enhancing what's already there?
That's a great question. And I think it really depends on the specific situation and the photographer's intention. There's definitely a spectrum, and it's not always so black and white.
True. Like, I'm all for using AI to get rid of distracting elements, like that random piece of trash in the background of a beautiful landscape shot, or, maybe a rogue fly that decided to photobomb your portrait.
Laugh softly, been there.
But when it comes to, say, altering someone's appearance or changing the overall mood of a photo, that's where things get a little more ethically murky, right?
For sure. And that's something that's really important to be mindful of, especially as these technologies become more sophisticated and more accessible. Because at the end of the day, photographs are powerful things. They shape our memories, they influence how we see ourselves in the world around us. So it's crucial that we use these editing tools responsibly and ethically.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of responsibility, this whole AI thing gets even trickier when you consider the impact it could have on our relationship with memories themselves. Like, are we going to start valuing the perfect edited version more than the real, flawed memory?
Ooh, that's a fascinating question. And honestly, it's something I've been pondering a lot myself. On the one hand, there's something to be said for preserving the authenticity of a moment, imperfections and all. But on the other hand, if we have the ability to enhance our memories, to make them more vivid and emotionally resonant, is that inherently a bad thing? It's a tough one.
It really is. And the writer of that personal experiment article, they had a great example of this. They were talking about how they used AI to edit some photos from a trip they took to see this amazing waterfall, Skogafoss, in Iceland. And they were saying how they had this one perfect edited photo, like the kind you'd see in a magazine. But they said it didn't feel as special as some of the other photos they took, the ones that were a little messier, a little less perfect.
Oh, interesting. So it's like, even though the edited photo was technically better, it somehow lacked the emotional resonance of the raw, unedited shots.
Exactly. And it made them wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's something valuable in those imperfections, those little quirks and flaws that make a memory feel real, you know?
I totally get that. It's like that saying, the best things in life are messy. Maybe the same could be said for memories.
Right. It's like, do we really want to sanitize our memories, make them all polished and perfect? Or is there something to be said for embracing the messiness, the unexpected moments, the things that make a memory truly ours?
Deep stuff, man.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, with all this AI stuff, are we moving towards a world where everyone's memories look the same, all polished and perfect and kind of generic?
Ooh, good point. It's like, does the pursuit of the perfect photo actually make our memories less unique, less interesting?
It's definitely something to ponder. Because in the end, isn't that what makes a memory so special? The fact that it's ours and ours alone with all its little quirks and imperfections?
I think so. And I think that's a good place to pause for now on that thought-provoking note. We'll be back in a bit to dive even deeper into this whole AI photo editing thing, so stick around. It's like AI is giving us the ultimate editing power, but then it makes you wonder, maybe those little imperfections are kind of what makes memories special in the first place. Like, who wants to erase that photo of their kid making a goofy face, or their dog photobombing a selfie?
Right. There's a certain charm in those unexpected moments, for sure.
Exactly. It's like that old saying, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Maybe now it's like, memories are what happen when you're trying to get the perfect photo.
That's a good one. And that's true. Our brains aren't wired for perfect recordings of events. We filter, prioritize, maybe even fictionalize things a bit to make sense of it all.
So then, by trying to perfect photos with AI, are we actually making them less like how we actually remember things? Like overriding our brain's natural editing process?
It's possible. And that article we were talking about, it made the point that those little imperfections, those things we might see as flaws at first, those often become what's interesting and memorable years later.
Huh. Yeah, like a little visual quirk that triggers a whole chain of memories.
Exactly. They spark those associations, the emotions, tell the story in a way a perfectly polished picture just can't.
It's like how a faded Polaroid can feel more meaningful than some super crisp digital photo, you know? It's not just the image, it's that feeling it gives you.
100%.
Speaking of feelings, the writer of that personal experiment article, they were saying how they tried out some of the more, well, out there AI editing features, like adding a flock of birds to a photo of their kid running through a field.
Oh, wow.
But in the end, they said it felt kind of flat, like it didn't add any real meaning.
That makes sense. It's a good reminder that even with amazing technology, you can't manufacture genuine emotion or significance.
It's like in photography, a stunning sunset, a candid shot of someone laughing their head off. Those are always going to be more captivating than some technically perfect but soulless photo.
Totally agree. There's a huge difference between technically good and emotionally resonant, and that's often where AI misses the mark.
Big time. But then again, at the end of the day, it is a tool, right? It all comes down to how we use it.
Exactly. And it takes being thoughtful, especially with photos. They're so tied to our memories, how we see ourselves. It's not something to take lightly.
You've got that right.
It's a powerful tool that deserves to be used responsibly and thoughtfully.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So just to be clear, we're not saying everyone should go chuck their AI editing tools in the trash, right?
Definitely not.
It's more like they can be awesome for making already good photos even better.
100%. It's all about finding that balance between the raw and the refined, the real and the, reimagined.
And maybe using them as a way to get us thinking about what we want to keep, like memory-wise and why. It reminded me of that bit about the waterfall photos, the Skogafoss, right?
Oh, yeah, in Iceland.
The perfect edited one felt less, I don't know, less memorable somehow because it was missing those little quirks, those real details.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're drawn to these AI tools because we want this perfect, idealized version of things. But then
It's the raw, unedited stuff that really gets us.
often, yeah, it's those little imperfections that make it feel real, like it belongs to you.
Man, it's like that saying, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. But with AI now, maybe it's a picture's worth 1,000 edits. And we get to choose what story those edits tell.
Exactly. And it really makes you think, what's more important? Capturing the moment exactly as it happened, warts and all, or capturing how it felt, even if that takes some creative editing.
That's the question, isn't it?
There's no right or wrong answer, but it's something everyone kind of has to decide for themselves the next time they're taking photos, editing, even just scrolling through their camera roll.
Whoa. Yeah, even just looking at old photos, it hits different now, doesn't it?
For sure. It's a whole new perspective on memories, thanks to AI.
So listeners, that's something to chew on, right? If you could perfectly edit all your memories, would you even want to? Or is there something important about embracing the mess-ups, the unexpected stuff, those perfectly imperfect moments that make up a life, you know?
Big questions, no easy answers, but definitely worth thinking about.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Huge thanks to our expert for breaking all this down with us.
Anytime. Always a pleasure to chat about this stuff.
And to all you listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this exploration of AI photo editing and what it means for, well, everything. Until next time, keep those cameras clicking and those brains thinking.